Good. Okay, I hope I'm loud and clear. Can you hear me? Owen,
I can hear you.
oh, okay, good. So if he can, then I think the rest can too. Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. Now, these people are calling me and they told me they will keep time, but now I see they are not in. So we shall start. They will join anytime they wish to join. So, someone was asking if we are starting with basics. That is true. We want to start this thing with the very basics so that we get to know everything. So HTML is simply a hypertext markup language. It's a scripting language for the web. The web is basically the internet, and HTML provides the skeleton. It provides the skeleton. So if you have the skeleton, then if you want the flesh, you can apply now the CSS, the so-called cascading style sheet. And a lot of CSS is to actually romance the HTML by providing attractive colorings and then display and so on about the HTML. So a combination of CSS and HTML can make a very attractive website. And then we introduce in JavaScript. We introduce in JavaScript as a programming language. And JavaScript is the programming language of the web, basically. For web-based programming, we sometimes consider JavaScript for the fact that it is actually easy to learn. It is easy to learn, and its role is to actually make sure that this website we have created can be responsive. For example, the JS can try to order the HTML as it approaches these wide devices to pad left, right, to pad left, right, and then bottom in a defined using defined pixels. So it is the JavaScript that we use to give in those commands so that our website becomes responsive. And for purposes of being interactive, it is the JavaScript we use, so that we can change the inner divisions. We can try to fix in current data and time using JavaScript libraries and functions. So we try to update the website using JavaScript. So basically, when we are developing a website, we consider HTML, which defines the content of the web pages. Then CSS, of course, and CSS does the layouting. Yes, it specifies the layout of the web pages you have created, and then the JavaScript is the one that programs the behavior of the web pages, how these web pages will behave. It is JavaScript that does that. If you want to jump from this page to the other, or if you want to jump from this link to the other, and then if you want to echo any message, it is the JavaScript that does that. So moving forward with the learning website development, it is important to know the role of those languages. Okay. All right. So now we shall start straight away with simple trials about HTML. Someone should okay. All right, now I've muted. Okay, so when we want to create these pages, we basically first create a folder for easy organization. So if I'm considering that I'm creating a folder on desktop, the shortcut is Ctrl-Shift-N. When you press Ctrl-Shift-N, then you'll have something like this new folder. So I can have web trial. So before we dive deep into this, some people might ask, how is web development going to help me in my daily life? Or what's the role of this thing called website development? Now, when we develop websites, we assume that it is the best market over the internet. So that from websites we can dive into systems. So anyone learning websites cannot run away from systems. This thing that I loaded here, this is how we script systems. This is a connection page to the system called sports management system. So if we are interested in scripting websites, then we cannot run away from web-based systems. So there are always a lot of questions, hosting and so on. You know, I have created my website, I want to host it. What is the necessity of this and the other? So those are some of the things we must know before we actually dive into a lot, so people can always pick interest. So me as a person, I use Hostinger to host my systems and websites of the company. That is what we use. And what is Hostinger? Hostinger is a web hosting service provider. It gives you space. It gives you a control panel. It gives you custom emails, just like you see the student emails we have here. So whenever you buy a web space, all those privileges come within, so that you can have CEO at summittechworld.com. You can have info at summittechworld.com. things like those. So those ones come fully packed with a hosting service provider. The other thing is that we as web developers, we need to know how to interact with online servers. It is very important, and it grooms us to know where we are going. Some people have dropped this because they actually don't know the end point. So that is why I want to show you how the online server works and how data is managed there and how we put those sites over the internet. So, so that when you have created something, you can also see how it can appear on the internet. And the other important thing about buying these online servers is that when you buy an online server, they give you a free domain. So that domain is the one that is crawled over the internet, so that the site optimizer looks for that name. And we shall also look at something called the sitemap when we are creating websites. The sitemap is what these crawlers over the internet look for, so that they can search your name and it appears as people who are connected over the internet. So a sitemap is the one that that crawls your website, and those are very important things to learn before we begin these basic codings and so on. So this is the email site. So you can log in with the custom email. See you at summittechworld.com. Now this is the domain. I think you can see this is the domain, and the custom emails are wrapped onto those. So we can get those benefits. So you can see that people can always send you messages to these custom emails, head@ict@jet.nursing. So you can also be in a position to send. So these messages help you to actually mask your emails, so that you are away from these free mail service providers, the Gmail, the Yahoo, and so on. So now this is the side of emails. This is a benefit we get from hosting, and you buy space online. And then hosting, the real hosting. With the real hosting, we consider that you have been given a computer. Just like you put a folder somewhere, there is no much difference. Just like you copy a folder and put it somewhere. Now, like here you see on desktop, we have created a folder, web trial, and we are considering that this is the site where we are going to host our website. So what we do over the internet is that we simply copy this. If it is our website, we copy it and paste it and put it in there in a file manager of the hosting service provider. And that is simply it. So this is the panel. When you log in, this can be the panel having home, websites, hosting, emails, domains, VPS, billings, and so on. So when you buy a server like this, you can have very many domains. What is a domain? A domain. Anyone with an idea of what a domain is? So a domain is basically that name, that kind of name. We basically call it a domain name, and it is a string of text that maps to an alphanumeric IP address. So we get these domains, but in the background there, they return IP addresses. What do I mean? Now, for example, here, when we come to summittechworld.com, and this is the URL for Summit Tech. So it is actually the domain, and the real background of this domain is the alphanumeric IP address that is used to map this domain. So how do we test this? What we do is we come and copy this, Control C, and then we come to command prompt and we ping to it. We ping to that. So when we ping, the ping will return an IP address, the alphanumeric. So you see, simply as this. This is the IP address. Now, this is the IP address of summittechworld.com. So anything connected to the internet and it is a domain, it must have that alphanumeric IP address used to access a website. So you use that to access a website. Now, for us over the internet, when we put in the summittechworld.com, the internet will always look for these numbers because the computers understand numbers, numerals. So that is it about pinging. Whenever you want IP addresses of any website, you just ping to that website, then it will give you the IP address in binary of 32. Now back to this. So whenever you buy space, you get different access to very many domains. You can buy different domains. These are domains we have bought as Summit Tech, Chetume, Summit Tech, St. Anthony, Talitha, and then this other one. So when you come to websites, this is where you manage them. And because you have a domain, summittechworld.com, they give you about 100 gigabytes. And what is the load of these gigabytes? The load of that data is for you to test any websites. Because it is a domain, we consider that you can put a subdomain. And a subdomain is just simply a subset of a domain. A domain that resides inside a domain is a subdomain. Now, for now, a domain like this one, all these ones have 100 gigabytes. This St. Anthony, Chetume, and then Talitha. So if you want to manage this one, by managing, we are considering that you want to view the databases, you want to view the control panel, you want to view file manager, and it is from the file manager that we drag our website so that it is seen over the internet. It is from the file manager that we drag our website so that it is seen over the internet. Okay, let us see what happens here. Now you see, we have file manager, databases, and then auto installer. Auto installer is for someone who is setting it up. And then this side, we can have the databases and so on, domains, files. Now, if you want to add another website, or if you want to add a subdomain, you have created your website and you want to test it, this is where you go. Let me right click and I open a new tab. And a new tab. So let's see the tab. Okay. And now about the databases. We shall look at databases when we come to web-based systems. But of course, I need to show you a sample of how a database looks like. Now, a database takes in the database name, the database user, and then it also takes in the password. The password, these ones here, these are the ones we define. We have the local host, the user, we have the user root, and then this is empty, but it is supposed to be for password. It's supposed to be for password. Now this is the directory, the root directory of a system. So in order to establish a connection between the tables we shall be putting in HTML and the database, this is what we use. We use these connection statements, the local host root and so on. So these are the ones we put in the connection.php so that we can relate to the database. How does a database look like? Now these databases store data, of course. just like you go to Microsoft Office Access, the way it does its work, you enter data, choose data types, choose primary key, and then keep your data so that you can later on query that data. Hey, you filter students from Uganda Matters, you filter those from Lubaga, you filter those from Fort Portal, and so on and so on. So we're on okay, it's loading. It's loading. Okay, now this is how databases look like. Admin user, you can have those who will access as administrators. You can have the username. Now these are actually their values, the value holders. Now in the form we shall expect username and then password. The password is always kept as hashed because we prevent that if anyone gets into this database, they don't know the meaning of this. But this is a password that is encrypted in MD5. So it is the site will always decrypt whenever it wants to compare with some input from the website. Now, all databases in the world, this is whoever uses XAMPP as the content manager for database, and whoever uses MySQL, this is how the databases will always look like. So this one is for Summit Tech. Whenever you come to our website and you put anything in the quote here, and you put anything here in the quote, this is the data that is kept. So when you put new and you put the email, like that, and you choose any service and you send a message, then this is the form has errors. Please check it again. That is PHP validation, and those things must be known. Now you see this, it must start with 07. These are the things we shall do to make a responsive website. Now you see this one is a dynamic one. You see now that has been submitted, and we expect that when we now move to our database, we expect to see someone as new to have been added in our database. Now this is quote the quote side. This is the quote side. So all these things are the end things that we shall learn. Now you see the person is right here, new. This is the person we have entered in. So you realize that data has been sent from Summit Tech website here, which is very responsive, giving you things like data validation. The form is not inserted properly. Please check it again. And then when data is sent, it creates a div here. This is simply a div. And then it tells you that the message has been sent. And when we come to our database here, we can see new. So you can perform queries on the database here, just like we do in Microsoft Office Access, those queries. So you can filter out those ones that are for Android app development, the service they are interested in. You can filter out those of user interfaces. So these are the end things we are going to actually look at. And I suppose that at the end of these tutorials, we shall be in position to do something like this. Now, when you come up to this level, you are a very nice developer of the web, and they can employ you everywhere. Everyone will fear you. If they can see data being sent to the database, everyone will fear you. Nobody will catch on you. And these things we are going to learn them. And I'm sure we shall learn them. And what we shall always have to do is to be somehow faster, because there is actually a lot to learn in a short time. So how do we host the website now? Like now this is the part for this has been the part for databases, and that is how databases are managed. So when we come to file manager, files here, file manager. Now in file manager, we shall see how the website is organized so that it can display, like now how you see this one. so that when you come to it like this, it gives you the first page. So that is what we want to see and how it is organized. Now we come to File Manager and we access files for only Summit Tech, not for premium hosting. Okay, those who are just joining in, we are trying to see how we can use web development for our day-to-day life and the end product. So we are assuming that we want to know what are the capabilities of a web developer, because some people have tried to understand the basics, but they don't know how to apply them. So actually in order to get full interest of web development, these are things we must put into consideration. If we can do things like these ones, then we can be in position to compete in the market. So now over the server, there is this thing called public HTML. Public HTML is the default folder. It is the default folder, and when you open it, I think now you can now see this. I created this. I think we are running out of time. I didn't ask for a Zoom link. I've actually used this, and time is almost catching us up. So I will rewind in 5 minutes. Okay.